You're listening to the HR Happy Hour Network, sponsored by WorkHuman. By some estimates, over 80% of AI projects fail because of bad data. But here's some good news for HR. When AI leverages the rich, authentic data of employee recognition, you get something truly unique: human intelligence from WorkHuman, creators of the world's #1 recognition platform. Human intelligence unlocks insights into performance and skills, culture, and engagement, and it helps surface feel-good stories that illustrate the best of your company's culture. To learn more about human intelligence, go to workhuman.com. That's WORKHUMAN.com.
Welcome to System of Record from the HR Happy Hour Media Network. System of Record is your source for the latest in HR technology, trends, what's happening with products, what's happening with the leaders of HR tech. My name's Steve Boese from H3HR Advisors. I am so excited to launch System of Record today. It's our first show on this title on the network. And we have with us today as our first guest, and we're so happy that he's taken some time today to join us. It's Dan Beck. He's the President and Chief Product Officer at SAP SuccessFactors. Dan, welcome and thank you for being our launch guest on System of Record.
I'm honored, Steve. Thanks for hosting me.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. But we've been wanting to talk to you for a while. I'm glad we were able to work this out right before kind of the busy spring events and travel and customer season starts, right, for everybody. So we're glad we're squeezing this in. But Dan, before we get into some of the issues around the world of work, what's happening in tech, what you guys are doing at SAP SuccessFactors, maybe just for folks who maybe don't know you, give us a minute or two on just you, your background, and kind of what took you to SAP SuccessFactors.
Yeah, thanks again for hosting, Steve. I'm a longtime practitioner in the HCM space, based in Northern California. I think for my sins, I've been in the business for 20 plus years, building enterprise-grade solutions for talent management, core systems, record, payroll, you name it. I spent 10 years at Workday in my career, a startup in the contingent labor space, which I sold in 2022, and a little over a year in the role at SAP. And it's just been fantastic leading this SuccessFactors product and engineering team, because we just have great clients, great offerings, full end-to-end suite. And of course, the might of SAP, the world's most comprehensive enterprise business suite. So really grateful to be here today and to talk about the future of work.
Yeah, Dan, thanks so much for that background. Really appreciate that. And just from your perspective, Dan, we'll kick it off this way. What are you seeing, both you just as a leader in the space and a longtime person in the HR tech space, and both SuccessFactors seeing from your wide customer base? What are the big issues and trends that are hitting organizations like right now as we're a couple of months into 2025? What are you guys seeing are the big issues?
Yeah, the big topics. I mean, this won't come as a surprise to you, Steve, nor your listening audience. But the top two, I would say, is of course what's going on with AI and how can AI affect my operations. And if 2024 was the year of sort of proof of concepts, we think 2025 and beyond will be the use of really real production adoption and value. And then secondly, what's going on with skills. Skills has been a buzzword for 10 plus years in HR tech. And yet I think with the more powerful use of not just natural language processing to understand what you're trying to achieve, but just honestly, just better tech, better inference, better use of skills throughout your application layer, skills are now becoming real. So as 10 years ago, we could have talked about skills being brought into HR tech, but now I think it's both more real, and with the pace of change, it's on leaders' minds, and then you have these World Economic Forum stats and others indicating that 35% of the skills that we need in our business we don't have today by 2030. And you kind of have all these kind of not doomsday, but just this recognition that the pace of change is increasing, and one way to measure talent, bring in talent, engage talent is skills. So again, in summary, it's sort of AI and skills. And I will say, Steve, just importantly, said a couple of client meetings just this week here in Palo Alto, have to get the fundamentals right.
Yeah,
the product has to work, has to scale, your payroll needs to calculate, all the foundational layers need to exist correctly so you can earn the right to get into some of these more, dare I say, more sexy areas of AI and skills.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, Dan. It's easy to overlook that because we have, as you well said, we've been talking about AI for a few years now, skills even longer. And there's been great technology that's emerged on the scene, both from providers like SAP SuccessFactors, startups, et cetera. We've got a lot of tech, but without that baseline, without that core system of record, hey, well, this is a system of record show. Without that core system of
There you
record,
go. There you
that
go.
strength in payroll, and I'd even throw things like benefits and time and leave tracking, those fundamentals that sort of workers encounter on their day to day, right? So many
Right.
folks in the organization are encountering these HR systems for those fundamental processes, and if you're not nailed those and doing them efficiently, at scale, right every time, you can't move up to those higher value added products and services, I guess.
That's right. I think it's exactly
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. What are you thinking? What are you seeing from customers? You mentioned you talked to a couple customers this week, but in general, are there priorities for customers these days? Is it the kind of get the fundamentals and the core locked down? Is it getting out there and exploring with AI? What are the big ticket items your customers are coming to you and say, "Hey, Dan and team, like this is important to us in 2025."
So just for context, we have 16 modules that comprise our end-to-end just SuccessFactors suite, and so I will again just say have to get the fundamentals right, but I do want to say with getting the fundamentals right, and we're sweating the details every day to do so. The things that are on clients' minds are, how do I adopt this AI, this exciting promise of AI, and what does it mean to my people strategy, my people business transformation, et cetera, my people agenda, and so and usually what I see like in the real world is clients come in and they get excited about something.
Yeah.
They're excited about Gen AI meets goal setting. They're excited about the efficiency that can be brought. And I joke, and I know that AI has been around. My AI practitioners, and I've got a lot of technologists in my group, would say, Dan, AI has been around 50 years, 30 years.
Yeah,
Don't.
sure.
But, most of the world, including my children, I used to say my kids started cheating on their tests and exams on November 30th, 2022. Now I just say they were early adopters of ChatGPT and Gen AI. But the world did change in a little over 2 years ago, and
2 years, right? Not even, yeah.
And we now are seeing clients so excited about it, but then they're trying to say, okay, can I adopt it? Do I have the tech infrastructure? Can I legally adopt it? Where can I adopt if there are legal considerations? And so it's this twin tension, and this is just on AI, but it does bring skills into it.
Sure.
It's like this tension of, I'm so excited about this, I want to adopt this. And candidly, and I talked to a CHRO just yesterday, this was their story, which is the CEO and the executive board is expecting efficiencies from AI. Mm-hmm. They're expecting this to be part of the plan, but then there's this tension of like, can we adopt it, right? And so, of course, that that to me is a market opportunity, but that's what I'm seeing out there.
Yeah, Dan, thank you for that perspective. And it's great to hear from you about what your customers are telling you, right? Because it's one thing like to take these things out of the lab, right, and get them implemented in the real world and have them make a difference, right, in the effectiveness of organizations, certainly, but also for, just the lives of the individuals using the tools. The promise is so there. And it reminds me, Dan, I don't know how you feel about this. It reminds me a little bit of like how mobile came into enterprise tech and in a way that like everybody adopted it first in their personal lives, right? You just got a mobile phone, right? And you started using it and you're like, oh, this is so cool. I can do all these things just on my phone. And boy, why can't my HR system or my whatever enterprise system, why can't I have that access there? And eventually the providers kind of caught up. And so much of now what we're doing with enterprise tech, with HR tech is operating with our phones on it. A little bit like that with AI. You're saying your kids are using AI, right? As not to cheat. I'm not going to say that, to assist them and develop their to help them with their assignments or whatnot. I used it last night because I had to make dinner and I said I've got these 4 ingredients. Help me figure out what to cook, right? And just to think it's been so useful in many applications in our personal lives. Like, boy, I want to go to work now and have these types of tools help me get my job done more efficiently.
Yeah, I think you're reading it right. I mean, certainly the consumer web and our lived experience as consumers is helpful because it can provide guideposts, right? That said, oftentimes, organizations have like a very different regulatory set of constraints than we. I mean, even the clients one of the clients I met with early in the week, they're 400,000 plus employees in 150 plus countries. Like that is a lot of jurisdictions to manage, right? And now SAP tends to serve a broad spectrum of clients, but the example you bring up with mobile is still telling, and so this is why it's so exciting, because in a way we're seeing the ability to so rapidly bring value to our customers. So I'll give you an example. We have a digital co-pilot called Joule, right? So this is across all of SAP, not just SuccessFactors. You ask Joule a question to go do things for you. And Joule now lives on our mobile devices. So you can, all the same conversational capability, this co-pilot capability that we have with SAP Joule, you can now do with your phone. And that's everything from, hey Siri, clock in, clock out, right? For frontline workers, to go fetching information, et cetera. And that's like really cool to see, because we just turned that on, this quarter, right? And so we've had so we're kind of living into these use cases as we speak. Another one that's very popular for our customers is it's policy questions, right? So there you are, you're running an HR function. You've got employees all over the globe that have a number of questions. Can I take leave? Do we need to do background checks for hiring? Do I get a car allowance? Blah, blah, blah. All of that is captured in policy documents, but it's got to be contextualized. It has to be like, you're in Illinois. I'm in Northern California, right? Like, we're both in the US. We've got people all around the world might be members of our team. Like, what is the correct policy response to a question? And so that's one nice thing about what I'm seeing in the technology we're able to offer. Because we've embedded AI into the fabric of the application layer, we're able to answer contextually appropriate questions for your location, your level, your position. You get the idea. And that's really powerful, because unlike a generic, I go to like a chat GPT and ask a question, it doesn't know anything about you, right? But this combination of powerful partnerships with the best large language model providers in the world, all part of our kind of technology platform, combined with RAG capabilities, retrieval augmented generate capability, takes your policy document, consumes it, and then answers appropriate questions. There's a lot we're going to do with that. So that's one of the many use cases we delivered in 2023. We have 2 updates a year. This is kind of middle of the year delivery, one in the middle, one at the end of the year in November. And we're just going to keep building on that. So again, this is like combinatorial, right? We're building on the shoulder of giants. So if we can get that right, well, why not ask a question on my pay slip? Why did my pay change from January to February? This is an interesting time, because some of these use cases you'd always dreamed of are now becoming possible. And that's fun I'm seeing.
Yeah. And then even taking it a step further to a world where maybe you'd say, well, when the payroll was run and executed, that the system could highlight those 2 or 3 items of note, in advance of the person even asking the questions. Like, hey, by the way, your pay went down 10%. Here's why. Or, hey, this new deduction popped in because you might remember this policy changed, right? Or the state passed a new law.
You've got it exactly, Steve. And now we want to serve our customers, of course, and yet we want to continue to augment value. So as we're the world's most robust global payroll provider with the world's most robust core HR system record, what a great opportunity for us. We've got payroll in 90 countries around the globe, right? What a great opportunity for us then to ask those payroll questions. Something like half of all HR help desk tickets globally are tied to compensation. So explaining that deduction code, explaining why that compensation changed, explain that social insurance contribution, why it was different one month or the other. That is a very clear efficiency savings. And unlike some of our other use cases, and we've got 93 production use cases today that I could separately in a longer session lovingly tell you about, but unlike others that are a little more like save me time, help me do something a little more quickly, this ask my payslip a question is a great use case, possibly a killer AI use case to say it's ticket avoidance, right? You used to have this many tickets, now you have that many because people are self-serving.
And that speaks to the efficiency, right? It speaks to cost savings and consistency, right? That's another element that we know that the AI tools can help offer an organization, either with, kind of stewarding processes. We used to call them workflows. Maybe we don't call them anymore. Maybe we call them journeys now, or agentic AI, which is another thing we could talk about.
Yeah, process
but
going to be around. But
I know I got really, I used to do workflow kind of design, and I don't know if I could say that word anymore, but yeah.
No, but back to your cooking example with the recipe, it's like, it's new possibilities. I mean, if you told me that, our current forecast, now this is coming in May of this year. I mean, and it will be customers' hands in preview in 6 weeks. But the idea that we can have upwards of an 80 or 90%, that's our projection for the amount of support cases we're going to drive down with this one AI use case, Ask My Payslip. Like, that's amazing. And if you told me 2 years ago we could do that, I'd say this was like science fiction, and now it's becoming possible. So we're living into this. I think 2025 and beyond will be the year of proving real value with AI, not just on a POC again, but real value. And we're kind of picking a momentum. I mean, the models are getting better. Today we support via partnerships with Microsoft and OpenAI, Google, Amazon, NVIDIA, Meta, you name it. We have 25 foundational models we support under the hood, on top of which I and my engineers build use cases. And that's fun. And so then we sit down with customers, and, back to these customers that were visiting us this week, they're saying, well, what about this admin use case? What about this bulk action use case? So the use cases that I'm getting are coming fast and furious and better. And I'm just, and all of these we're going to keep living into.
I think about the, operating in an HR system as an administrator years and years ago, and we've got to transfer everybody in this one location, their labor costs from one cost center to another cost center because somebody in accounting changed some rule. And that was such an arduous task, right? Finding all those people, making sure we got them all, and doing those updates and doing them effectively. I could see the day where you could just say, hey, Jewel, or hey, whatever, right? To say, take everybody in, Wichita Falls and change their cost center to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just do it, And
now let me, you said one term earlier. Let me just go a slight go back, because you're reading this exactly right, Steve. But you said agents earlier, and so this idea, we introduced Jewel, call it a year and a half ago, in production for our customers. It is our co-pilot. We're breathing more intelligence into Jewel. Jewel's getting smarter literally every week. We're teaching Jewel, for example, just tangible example, 10 new languages this quarter. 10, right?
Wow.
From English to, German, of course, German, Spanish, Portuguese, French. The list goes on. I'm flying out to Japan on Sunday. Japanese, Korean, and the list goes on, right? And it's getting smarter, it's getting better. The other key thing we've done with Jewel, and this is one of the broader questions I've been getting, is, well, what about, I've got Microsoft Copilot. I've got other tools in here. And so we're in close partnership with Microsoft, opening up Jewel to engage with Copilot. So we have this bi-directional interaction, so that it's not just like SAP works if it's just within SAP. It's a spirit of openness, starting with our trusted partner and customer, Microsoft, to kind of open that up. But back to agents, I just want to say, we 2 weeks and a day ago, we introduced our new analytic offering, the Business Data Cloud, but we also introduced a agent builder. And then we reminded the world about the power of the SAP suite. What's nice about the agent builder is we are introducing a series of agents. Just think across the entire HR landscape. So learning and development, compensation, compliance, talent acquisition, recruiting agents, but all orchestrated by Jewel. So Jewel becomes a super orchestrator and knows how to talk to third-party products like Copilot. So I think that's really going to serve our customers. And I just look forward to the day where, like, hey, Steve, we asked the agent to go answer that question, go fetch that data, et cetera. Pretty compelling.
Yeah, it is very compelling. And at the same time, companies like SAP SuccessFactors are always designing and developing with adoption in mind, right? Because you need these tools to be picked up and adopted by your customers to drive value, right? And to get the return on their investments, et cetera. Are there any specific things you've had to think about with regards to some of these AI use cases or these AI agents to really kind of, plow the field, if you will, to help customers more easily adopt them? Is there anything different than, say, just, I don't know, new features on a performance review or something like that?
Yeah, a lot of it. We talk about the 3 R's of AI, right? That it's relevant, so it knows something about you. It's reliable. So if I ask the same question today, ask the same question tomorrow, despite all this kind of changes in the underlying models, it's still precise, it's still correct, it's not hallucinating, it doesn't introduce bias. And then lastly, it's responsible, meaning, among other things, that it's legally correct. It's client. It's not going to get my name in the headlines. And so we now have regulated industries. I'll just give you an example, this is a public example, so I don't think I'm sharing anything sensitive. Standard Chartered Bank is a key customer of ours, trusted customer. Sure. They're now in production with 85,000 employees across 50 geographies, 50 countries, with our generative AI capabilities. And I can assure you the energy it took on their side, on our side, to get them to a point where they were comfortable as a highly regulated 150-plus-year-old global financial institution was a lot of work.
Yeah.
And so that's the key thing that we are doing that's different than a normal feature. Normal feature, it adheres to your normal T's and C's, et cetera. With AI, there's many more geographic considerations. And for every new foundational model, there's 2 or 3 regulations, right? And we have a team. Now, we SAP, we have a team of experts to help guide clients through this. But that is back to the tension I mentioned earlier. We have to think of adoption, not just that the tech works, that the tech works in the appropriate language, that the tech has a response that's delightful to you, that's now on mobile, but also that you can take advantage of it commercially and the T's and C's. And that's where,
one of the things that is exciting to people, I think, to technologists, but as well as to HR leaders and users, is that unlike really any other kind of technology you could think about, these technologies can improve over time as they're used, right? As the answers get refined, as people give feedback to the models, as they learn, they start to improve and start to add even more value, right? And that's not like in the old days, you'd send out a quarterly release, say, and that's what it was. And in order to fix it, you had to go back to the developers and wait for the next quarterly release and try to fix some things or improve some things, right? But this is different.
Well, I think it's different, and I do think that good product teams, part of the promise of technology is that it's improving over time, and I think part of the promise of SaaS technologies in particular is that if you're actively listening to your customers, that you have many opportunities, telemetry opportunities, direct kind of verbatim input opportunities to improve your offering, right? Yeah. And I certainly. My message, to both customers, but also my internal team is we want to fall in love with solving our customers' problems, not with talking about our products, right? We in deep partnership with customers, and customers have nuances. Global retailer, different than global consulting firm, different than a federal agency, different than a large financial institution, right? So we need to know their problem and help solve it. But I do think the pace of innovation is exciting. And literally today, we are at this point in time where, I don't know, I'll give you an example. We are introducing for our one of our offerings, a learning offering, right? Learning very often has video content. We now have the ability, thanks to some progress in some of the Gemini foundational models, to make sense of video content. Okay. So now you can ask Joule a question about a video. It's a 4-hour video. Took a learning course. What was that course, Steve? What was it? Take it the exact second in a 4-hour video. Answer your question. Amazing stuff. And that's fun. So now we're sitting down with customers in the spirit of partnership and saying, wouldn't it be great if, back to that admin use case, I had a great one the other day. The client's like, could we just have like an AI health check? You just tell me what I should be doing. Make a recommendation to me. Back to your admin use example. It's like, am I in the latest stuff? Is there anything more I can be taking advantage of? And this is a great time of innovation. Let me say it differently. I think the next couple of years of HR tech, because of AI and because of the investments companies like SAP have made, we live in a competitive world. I'm not naive to the thought that others are doing cool things with AI, but our ability to serve our customers is going to be more superior to the prior 20 years. Yeah. I mean, the kind of things we were doing 20 years ago, we were getting workflow to work in the cloud. We were making things persist, getting people to log in, make sure it was secure, hard engineering problems. Today, we're asking questions of your payslip and getting answers in real time. I mean, it's amazing, right? And so the promise that I think literally my entire career was that we're going to do 2 things. We're going to help your employees be more productive and have a great employee experience. We're tantalizingly close to that possibility.
Oh, it's remarkable, the improvement in capability and user experience and relevance and impact that technologies can have on people today. I'd agree with you. I've been in this space a long time too. And I think back to, things I did 15 years ago, and I thought, this is the coolest thing ever. You can enroll in your benefits online instead of fill out a paper form. And it was cool, right, back then. That was pretty cool. But doesn't.
No, in a way, we were taking on-premise workloads and putting them in the cloud. We're taking manual workflows and putting them in the cloud. And, we have these great capabilities now. I appreciate you mentioning adoption, because One of the newer members of the SAP's family is a company called WalkMe.
I saw that, Dan, by the way. I knew you were going to say walk me. Yeah, go ahead
Well,
and talk about
SAP,
walk me a little bit.
SAP acquired in September of last year, finalized the acquisition September last year. What an opportunity. So now we are able to bring a robust digital adoption platform, WalkMe, to our customers. So when they say, hey, for that first onboarding flow, for that first experience, for that annual compensation cycle, et cetera, for that new manager, we can not just have a great user experience, not just have the ability to invoke Joule, but like guide them with WalkMe and have a great feedback loop of how's it really going?
Yeah.
Are there points of friction in your, Northern California group versus your Southern Illinois group, right? And then iterate from there. And so clients love that. And of course, it's not just SAP, it's cross applications. Some point you need to go from an SAP app. We'd love for you to stay in SAP, but like the world's heterogeneous, right? And then you go to a third-party app, and then oftentimes that's where the drop-off is in that user experience. So again, in the scope of like longer-term future, you would expect AI and agents to do many of these things. But in the near term, why not have a fantastic adoption capability to ensure that digital transformation?
Yeah, Dan, thank you for sharing that. And you sort of jumped into like what was going to be my last question for you, which is kind of the future, right? What's exciting you about what you guys are doing at SAP SuccessFactors? Where's the next 2 years? And you talked about some of it. If there's maybe, without giving it away, right? I want to give you don't want you to give away any like secret roadmap stuff or anything like that. But if there's like one thing that's out there, boy, this is going to be really cool when either we get there as SAP SuccessFactors or just we all get there as an industry. Is there something out there that's got like a twinkle in your eye? Like, boy, this would be really cool if we get there.
I'm going to kind of hedge a little, Steve, and say two things. So 2 weeks ago, yesterday, SAP announced the Business Data Cloud. So this is a broad-based analytic offering that in practical terms for our SAP SuccessFactors customers, we will have a killer people analytics capability. So think of that, all of those analytics that you always wanted to do with your workforce, demographics, headcount trends, span of control, et cetera, and giving way to strategic workforce planning with the full scope of your data, right? Not just your people data, your finance data. Oh, you've got a whole cadre of contractors, your field glass data, and of course, your third-party data. And we announced that in partnership with Databricks, which is like a fantastic partner to enable not just that sort of like core machine learning generation, predictive model generation, but also in the spirit of openness to open up to third-party tech. That's exciting. When I talk to clients about that, they are really keen to get their hands on the Business Data Cloud from SAP. But related to that, we also introduced our agent builder. So this idea that really it's AI meets data. So ask the system a question, have the system go get something for you analytically, and then bring it to your fingertips. I'm super motivated by that, very excited. It's a cross SAP initiative, so it's not just unique to SuccessFactors, but my gosh, just from you've been a practitioner for some time, like just the idea of like having your people, your workforce data at your fingertips. Just yesterday, I mean, this is just a true story from yesterday. We showed off the Business Data Cloud. Client says, oh my gosh, that would take us 6 months to do, right?
Yeah.
And it's like right there, a step away from AI. So I think this idea of AI, better AI use cases, I mentioned admin use cases, bulk activity use cases, new things capable, made capable by the underlying models improving, and of course our investment. But AI meets data. It's going to be a killer example.
I think that's a great way to wrap it up. The Ask My Payslip thing is like phenomenal right there. So like that's my, I can't wait to see that, and I'm sure folks will love getting their hands on it. Dan, we could go forever and ever. I know you've got lots to do. You mentioned you're getting on a plane in a day or two to head out to Japan. So I do appreciate you squeezing us in. A little bit of time today on a Friday. We're recording this for the first System of Record show. But really just to get under the hood a little bit about some of the exciting things happening at SAP SuccessFactors and in HR tech more generally with one of the leaders in the industry. So Dan Beck, thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
Thanks very much. Really appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Inaugural guest on System of Record. So you'll have that. Never take that away from you, no matter what else happens, Dan.
Finally, Steve, you've given me credibility in life. Thanks.
Yes, you'll always be number one. Dan, can folks want to get in touch with you or connect with you or SAP SuccessFactors? Where would you ask them to go?
I mean, just reach out directly. I'm d.beck@sap.com. So easy to reach me. We've got a whole team, global team. So we're here to serve and we're here to compete. No, we're not
Yeah.
afraid to compete to serve our customers. So
Awesome.
very
I love
happy
that.
to
All right,
engage.
Dan, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We'll put some links to some of the announcements too, Dan mentioned in the show notes as well for folks to check out. So thanks everybody for listening to the first System of Record podcast. We are part of the HR Happy Hour Network. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Give us an update. Give us a 5-star review. Tell Dan how great he was. I think he was great too. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on System of Record.